So yeah, we're townhouse wolf. I don't know. Yeah. Or your dad. Dad can tap on.
Who's Reaper Man?
Okay. I have to switch mics and close a few things first. But I will be over there in a moment.
Alright, well, might start. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday afternoon stream. I'll switch over to the game capture once the game's finished loading. We're pretty far along through all the tier techs. I don't know if there's anything else we send up the space elevator after this. No. One more load of things to send up the space elevator. They're all really expensive.
Before I forget, I need to change mics. Oh, wait, hold on.
Stabilizing. Shit over. Go.
Okay.
We have four fuel generators set up over here at the plastic outpost.
What? No.
Ooh, I've got a good chunk of overhead.
Okay. We're gonna restart Steam real quick. Well, no, it crashed. I got to remount my drive. Last time I restarted.
Oh.
I went to start launch Satisfactory and it's like, launch to this drive.
No,
no, not that folder. No, I installed it.
Yeah. We need to install this.
It was like, to the /home folder, whatever, and I'm like, no.
Yep.
Wrong. Yeah, it still doesn't auto mount like it's supposed to. I don't know what that is about.
Can't enter the locomotive as it is already full. Did Multi log off in the train?
Possibly. Wherever he's sitting is going to be where he logged out, so.
Well, I don't see him anywhere. But I can't get into the train because it's already full. So he must be logged out in there.
Yes.
Oh, we've got building up nicely. Wire nicely. Core is almost fully saturated, so that's take the hypertube back to Edition Ship's outpost. Watching this track that looks a lot like a C6 snake wind its way through the terrain over here.
Okay. Satisfactory. Launching. Will be on momentarily.
All right. Sound good.
Hello, Reaper Man.
Hey, Reaper Man.
Welcome to our crazy, nonsensical Satisfactory world.
It's not crazy and nonsensical. It makes perfect sense. We've got the secondary coal plants right down there.
Okay, ours might make some sense, but multis does not.
No.
Multicoders does not make sense in the slightest, not even a little bit.
I lagged
He
when I
did that
came out
on
of
purpose,
hypertube.
and he went to great effort to make it that way.
I came out of a hypertube and then got sucked right back in.
Oh no! You can turn around.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. That's funny.
It was one of those. It was like a loading lag spike, and then all of a sudden I'm going back through the hypertube I was just coming out of.
Oh, this processing. Okay, it's doing the shaders because I restarted Steam mostly. And at first it was set at 0 for a few seconds. I was like, oh no, it's gonna sit there. So I went looking at somebody else and I looked back and it's jumped up to 33%.
Okay.
Okay. It's went a bit faster than I was afraid of.
You almost laughed at the wrong folder thing. He says when someone said wrong folder, you almost laughed.
Yeah, I have a lot of my games are on a separate drive than the main drive, hard drive. So, but when I restart my computer, it doesn't auto mount like it's supposed to. So I have to mount it manually. But I forgot last time apparently, and most of my games were listed as not installed. Oh well, it's my own fault.
It can be quite scary too.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Well, the
I
funny
mean,
thing is, I launched it from the panel instead of opening Steam, so that's why I didn't know.
yeah.
So that's why it popped up with installing.
For sheets could require. This requires high-speed connectors, AI limiters, regular computers. Needs circuit boards for all of that. So circuit boards like this. Assembler. We're gonna need an absolute truckload of copper sheet, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, despite the fact that this place is an absolute nightmare spaghetti mess of conveyor belts. Its capabilities are not poor. Big bottleneck has always been the power. I think I have that sorted now.
So I personally do not use a controller. I use keyboard and mouse.
I use mouse and keyboard too. Bro,
Yeah.
use mouse and keyboard. I use it for a lot of different things, but there are some games that just works better to not have a not be worried about having a mouse and keyboard for.
Yeah, I personally can't use it very much because I have a bit of carpal tunnel and it aggravates it. So keyboard and mouse, I'm able to do it in a way that doesn't bother me. But controller, with the way you have to hold it, it makes my hands numb like every time. So I don't use controllers.
Oh wow, okay. So Multi has already got.
You're not
bunch of
wrong, though,
things.
Reaper Dad. That does happen to me.
Multi's got a lot of things in place. He only has like one machine per thing. Nowhere near each other in a relatable way. Need to explain himself as he gets on.
Okay, it finished. I'm launched, and now I'm joining.
Nice.
Still take a minute, but.
Oh, hands cramped. Okay, yeah. Well, I still have that problem from time to time whenever I use a controller. But certain games I prefer a controller for. Monster Hunter I played through with a controller. Resident Evil 4 was a controller game. But I do have a lot of problems with my hands still cramped. So no, the about page is still accurate. That is still a problem for me from. The problem is I have tendinitis in both hands. And, as long as I don't work too hard, it's not a problem, but the problem is I work too hard a lot. Lady can attest. Would you say that it's accurate?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what'd you say?
You say that it's accurate that I work too hard sometimes?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, I just realized I have all Mark 1 miners out here. Could boost our iron production a fair bit if I did some Mark. But we don't need it.
Oh, where am I? Oh, I'm over here. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh boy.
I think
Know what it's about. It's a mod pack launching right. This is the supercomputer. Hang on, I need to send a message to my buddy. have a third player showing up here. Alright, I have sent my buddy a message. It says, he said he'd be along in a little bit. He's wrapping up some house chores, and I said if you could hurry it along for a little bit, you logged out on the plastic train, and now I can't drive it. So what does this guy need? It needs a lot of stuff. Just power. Give it power. This needs there. Go. Circuit. Do this.
Okay. All right. I'm back.
Right.
Yeah, there was a base mod requirement, and they'd slightly renamed the mod, so.
Ah.
Or someone else had taken it up, one of the two. Okay. I'm not way out here, still apparently like halfway between somewhere. Let's see, where's main base? That way? Oh, I was following Multi around over here is what was going on.
Oh. You out at the, like, the...
And then I was kind of running around, detouring around, gathering things like nuts and stuff.
Okay.
I'm like halfway between somewhere. You might have to look on the map for me.
Let's see.
Trying to see what I'm close to over here.
Oh yeah, you're actually not far away from me, I don't...
Yeah, so I'm I'm right next to the tube, so I'm gonna go up and get to the entrance for it. I'm not right next to the entrance, so I'm see, I think that's it over it. Okay, that looks like the entrance over there, so I'm just gonna run over there. Michael. Michael?
Def. Hang on.
Here.
What?
There's like a little triangle of tube entrances over here.
Oh yeah, because one of them comes back to the Dish and Chips base. One of them goes down. One of them goes out to the plastic
Yeah,
and
but this does not
Ethereum.
risk running into one tube to the next.
No, not if you just fall straight out of them.
Yeah, it spits you out a little distance. Okay, I think this is the right one. They weren't labeled, so I'm just gonna hope this is the right one.
If it wasn't the one you came out of and it wasn't the one that went straight down, yes, it's the right one.
Uh-huh. You don't know which tubes that was in.
I know the point. I know the point.
point, but not the tube entrance. Look, don't worry about it.
Guess now I get to see what happens when two players collide head-on in a hypertube.
Probably pass each other.
We probably pass each other now, because I think you're behind me.
I never saw you, so I have no idea. Ooh, you actually do go faster when you're going downhill.
Yeah, I've noticed. This rough
It's a lot of
terrain.
fun going downhill with this.
Yeah, it is.
These are kind of straightforward compared to what multi usually does.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Mostly because resources were limited, and we had a very long way to go with this stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
Running out to the plastic space to get some plastic.
And this takes forever to get back to the main base.
Oh, it does.
Oh, almost there. Okay, I'm at the tube hub. Still kind of lagging a little.
Yeah. I think we're starting to hit that scale where the game is just going to be kind of lurchy all the time. There's not really a lot I can do about it.
Wait, back up, wrong tube. Take me a minute to realize it. Okay, that is not the one I meant. Okay, let's just go with that one. Storage hub. That works for me. I don't even know what my plan is yet, because you guys were working on the supercomputers.
Yeah, and unfortunately we're kind of stuck waiting on the supercomputers until multi shows up.
Well, is there anything else we can do to prepare for next stage? Actually, let's just do that. You know, we won't be able to put it up necessarily, but we can look at it. Let's see. Next is leading edge production. Ew. Okay, never mind. We need to focus on nuclear power stuff.
Uh-huh.
so what are those recipes like? Magnetic field generator, uranium fuel rod, nuclear power plant. So first we'd have to get some mining nodes going, right? Let's see. Rod. Let's see. I'm gonna look at the. We have that menu. Which button was that? Oh, it's O. Okay, search. Radiant. No. Huh? Why is it not popping up? Okay, parts.
One of the things that Multi did warn us about, that when we go to start doing uranium power, we're going to want that to be a good distance away because of radiation problems.
So by the way, one of our main things we're going to need for the elevator phase is going to need supercomputers in the recipe for the item. So the assembly director system, the orange and black and gray one up there on the left. So the recipe for that is adaptive control units and supercomputers. We actually have adaptive control units machine set up over here already.
Yeah.
but it'll be that and supercomputers. So we will be needing supercomputers for the elevator.
Okay. Well, we're setting up the assembly of them now, and we're not. At least I wasn't planning on tearing any of it down. Planning for it to be basically permanent.
Yeah. You know, funny enough, I'm not able to look up stuff on the uranium stuff. Maybe you have to unlock it for it to come up and that.
Maybe.
It's basically info on recipes and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that, actually. I thought maybe I'd be able to see it already, but guess never mind. I am itching to come over there and just do it. Mainly just because I did the other automation stuff over here for recipes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, food. Here we go. To bring some back some food supplies. Let's see. Okay, well that wasn't very much, but okay. How are you on your inhalers, by the way?
I have 8 left.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Started with 12, like, a long while back.
Yeah.
You have to say, they're lasting a lot longer now that I have a jetpack, and I'm not constantly falling to my death off of one factory floor to the other by accident.
Yeah. What is the recipe for supercomputers?
The recipe for supercomputers is... manufacturer. We need plastic, high-speed connectors, AI limiters, and regular computers. All of which require mainly copper sheets, caterium wire, plastic, and the odd collection of screws here and there, which we have everything making here at this outpost. So, it's a matter of getting it to where it needs to go. And of course, you know, Multi has his methods, which are effective if hideously unconventional.
Yep. As long as there is a method to the madness.
Yeah.
Okay, so these machines that aren't tied to storage systems or anything, these 3 manufacturers, I'm attaching to some storage units so they can make.
Which 2 machines are those?
One of which is the mod adaptive control units, because we're eventually going to need them. It's not going right now because it's not hooked up to the computers, but because it needs computers as a recipe, as an ingredient. Modular engines is another one, and radio control units.
Okay.
They were sitting at 50 because that was how much they'd made, and they were just sitting there. So I'm just gonna start them by attaching them to storage units.
All right.
They're not attached to. They're not outputting to anything.
That works.
Mm-hmm. Now, if needed, we could try to boost computer production. Problem with that is we have to be able to deal with power consumption. So can we deal with the power consumption?
I think so.
Because it's a manufacturer recipe.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I can head over there and start investigating that power problem.
Sure. I will at least build it and get it started. And then we can wait to touch the power if needed.
Should be okay. We've got a lot of fuel generators up there, but I'll come back and make this remote base is okay. There's still plenty of power overhead in this one. I just don't know if
Okay.
Excuse me. I just don't know if the fuel production is capable of running all the machines yet.
I just feel like we need to boost the computer production. You know, we only have one machine making them, and it doesn't seem like enough. Not even remotely.
Yeah. That's my concern with what's happening over at the plastic outpost is everything is just set up where it's just one machine making everything, like making all the different components, and it's just like, well, this will work if the plan was to just leave the thing on all night and all day and let it just run. But
yeah,
it's not exactly an effective solution. Especially not when we're going to have to be mass producing the parts.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, heading up to the storage hub. Alright, headed on down to the generators. Hopefully not dying on my way down to the generators due to the lag.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Multi.
Hey!
I had a train to fix.
Trying to fix in-game or IRL?
Well, I hope it's on the end game. I'd be quite concerned if somebody asked me to fix a train and held me responsible for it.
Yeah, that would be pretty rough. I think you logged out in the train, and I was going to do a manual delivery of Caterium wire and plastic sheets because the station's full and ready to go. But, yeah, you were sat in it.
I hit skip. I got tired of waiting, so... Oh, yeah, I'm 100% in the train. Okay. Maybe that's got to be a new house rule. Get out of the train.
Yeah. Log off sitting on the platform or something.
Yeah, sorry about that. Alright, I'm out of the train.
Alright, well, I'm over at the power base. I'm making sure where fuel is
Okay.
up to snuff, right?
Well, if you want, I'll just do a delivery. Kind of owe you one anyways.
Yeah, that was what I was gonna do with it. Just do at least a manual delivery so we can try and start figuring out, like, what was I gonna say? Start figuring out belt routings and things like that. Because I've boosted a ton of the plastic production. We've got a ton of refineries going. We've got lots and lots of extra power now.
Okay.
So,
Nice. Oh, I'm pushing the train now.
right.
I think it's got a load full of plastic and Katerium ore based on the station being empty.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Well, actually partially empty. I think there was more in the station than the train could hold.
Very likely.
Sorry about the delay, but I have good news.
No.
Tonight is a night of peace and quiet.
Oh.
Oh,
The only requirement was a few house chores. So I had to start a load of dishes and a couple things, you know, but
so, are the kids gonna be with the grandparents?
the kids and the grandparents and the Mrs. Coder are watching a baseball game,
Oh,
of which I have absolutely no interest whatsoever. I found why the train won't move. There's a stop in the track.
of all the sports, actually, believe it or not, of all the different sports out there, baseball is literally the only one that I've actually had any kind of care for.
I'm gonna go with a generic foosball as the devil, and I'm gonna proceed to attach that to every other sport.
That feels a little bit cruel and harsh. What did foosball ever do to you?
How can I word this? Anybody I've ever known that was a sports fan, and I'm sure there's good people out there that are sports fan, but unfortunately, every person I've ever known that was a huge sports fan was someone that probably was a waste of the oxygen they consumed.
Ah,
Now, I'm sure there are good sports fans out there. It's just my personal experience with people that are sports fans has always been pretty hideous. So, as a consequence, any interest I had in sports kind of got killed.
no, that's fair.
Now, I do enjoy saying, I know enough to say fun things like, hey, did you hear the Mets win the Stanley Cup this year at the Super Bowl? And make people cringe. You'd be surprised how many people just die inside when you say that.
Here's the thing, I don't follow sport. I don't really follow like sports or anything like that. It's just, if I'm at a restaurant and there's a baseball game playing, I enjoy watching the baseball.
I got you.
My son
Did
likes
you hear
watching. What's
the,
that?
The awesome sports news.
No. Gonna have to admit.
Yeah, this really awesome sports news.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
The
that
Mighty
news.
Ducks won the Quidditch World Cup this year.
Okay. Sounds pretty standard, really. They're pretty regular on that front, aren't they? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Anyway, how's the train coming?
It just delivered.
Awesome.
Well, it attempted to deliver. It delivered a whole bunch of Katerium wire. Alright.
What about the
The
plastics?
Harry Potter is Quidditch. That's a fake sport. And I forgot what other random sports thing I tied to that, but I can assure you that they don't work together.
All right. Figured there was a Harry Potter reference in there somewhere, but I couldn't follow it and my brain didn't care, so.
Yeah. I'm not, don't get me wrong, if somebody enjoys sports, I'm happy they do. It's just one of those things, unfortunately, in this life, I've had so many people make it unenjoyable for me.
Yeah. Believe me, I understand how that works.
But I'm sorry, I'm a negative Nancy today. I just dropped off Katerium wire. I'm working on getting the station to drop off the second part now.
Right. think it's about time I start getting rid of all of these little buffer tanks. Just route pipes straight into the giant industrial buffer that I have built. Maybe even... Yeah, so like these fuel tanks, each of the fuel tanks can store 400 fuel.
Nice.
The industrial ones, I think, can store like 2,400 or something like that. Yeah, 2,400. So one of the big tanks can hold as much as 6 of the little guys, but it doesn't take anywhere near as much room.
Oh. I found it. That's why there's another break in the track right there. Okay. Unfortunately, it's right as I come out of the water, so this is going to be interesting.
Yep.
Well, thankfully I can hop on the freight car and shoot the beasts that are trying to kill me.
Well, those are always fun.
They're not too bad. There's much worse ones we've dealt with.
Have you run across the rocket pack hogs?
Yes, that's one that killed us a bunch of times when we were playing one day.
Yeah. Lady and I definitely had problems with that. Ultimately, I wasn't even able to fight the thing. I just wound up having to, like, draw it away.
I thought we killed it that time, but maybe I got something mixed up. Oh, it was a giant spider.
Yeah, no, we killed the giant spider. We've also done giant spitters. Giant plasma spitters. But, yeah, no, I believe as far as, train of thought, go choo-choo.
Speaking of choo-choos, I think I just fixed the train.
Well, that's good.
I guess it's good. I'm good with trains. All right. It's rocking. The only thing I have to do is add in the second freight car station on the main base
side.
Well, the incoming. There's already 2 on the outgoing, but not the incoming.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see here.
Just driving the train through the trees and the cliff faces, you know. My usual track construction.
As you do.
How are you all this week? Sorry, I kind of got onto a sports tirade. I have to apologize.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm happy because yesterday I finally finished my shop roof.
Nice.
And something I found very interesting is now that I've gotten the new shop roof put onto my shop, it doesn't get as hot in there as it did before with the old roof. And I'm not sure why that is. Because the shingles were the exact same color.
They might maybe thicker shingles.
I don't know. Yeah, the one thing
Could
I
be
do
less holes in the shingles.
The one thing I am wondering about, and I just need to ask my dad on this, is he, if anybody would know, he would.
Right.
The wood I used for the decking, like the OSB I used for the decking on under the roof, it had a kind of like a reflective shield on it, and
that will definitely make it better.
Well, I'm wondering if the reflective shield, because I initially thought, yeah, the reflective shield will work, but does it still work if it's covered? Because that's my
Yes.
major question: is does it still work if it's even if it's been covered up with the shingles?
Yes, because of how heat dissipation works. Think of it like you put a very thin heat sink on your ceiling.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put 100 pounds of aluminum block on the roof and then water cooled it with a pump, it'd be better. But I mean, I don't think you have 100 pounds of aluminum sitting around and a bunch of water cooling blocks made for the roof. So
No,
it's the same
no.
principle as cooling a computer, is what I'm saying. It's just not quite as robust. If that makes sense.
Well, I mean, my only question is like, it's the it's just like, if it's supposed to reflect the heat out because it's shiny, if it's covered in a dark colored material that conducts heat and like drags the heat back down, does it still work? Because
Where they're also
if it does, that's great,
Mhm.
because now I can actually, if it remains this comfortable, I might actually be able to work in my shop during the summertime, which I was definitely looking at not being able to do before.
Right. I kind of cheated on my workshop, but it's also the reason why my workshop has one panel up and no roof. I dug mine into the side of a hill to help with the heat dissipation.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
But as a consequence, I really don't have a workshop, just kind of a hole in the side of a hill right now. So your plan's a little more effective, to say the least.
Well, I already had a shop. I was just replacing the roof on it.
Okay. I mean, I guess I had one. It was a metal shed, but it was in a position where if I wanted to do anything or work on it, then it was just going to be extremely irritating to do so. So I quickly decided I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Which, in hindsight, I think I should have planned things a little better and like dug it all out first, because now I have no workshop and I quite miss having one.
Yeah. That's the balance you always have to strike.
I feel like half a man. I don't know, maybe it's not the right expression. Half a mad scientist? Ah, I like that better. There we go.
I feel like
Mad
that's a line
scientist
from
has
like
have
Phineas and Ferb. I feel like that would be like a line from Phineas and Ferb or something. I'm
I
only
don't
half
know,
a mad scientist now.
You're probably right. I've only seen bits and pieces of that. There's one episode they played a lot, the kids watched, where they make robot versions of themselves. I've
Oh,
seen that
yeah.
one a bunch of times. I guess it was a really popular one or something.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on getting a workshop together, man. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm finally glad it's done.
I don't blame you.
It's that was the better part of a month of lots and lots of weekends on a very hot roof.
Whew. I thought about kind of cheating on my roof, just putting the frame up, and then whenever I finalize it, just putting something on top of it other than the sheeting, but I'm not sure it would hold and keep the water out. I
Yeah.
thought about just saving up and buying a bunch of concrete and using the roof as a mold, and then pouring a ton of concrete on top, and then using that to keep it extra cold, so the heat would stay up.
Well, okay. Solid in theory, but
Okay.
wait.
All right.
The actual
I'm
weight, the actual weight of the concrete itself.
Ah.
If it's not framed to support that kind of weight, it's not going to support that kind of weight.
I'd have to do some engineering, which I'm
You have to
not
do a lot
particularly,
of. There would have to be a lot of engineering, and there would need to be. Yeah, it would have to be like a lot of extra bracing, a lot of extra framing, stuff like that.
See, and this is why I ask you these things before I make my shed fall on itself.
Yeah, see, I looked in. I've been wanting to look into doing like an underground like storage building in my backyard, and having dirt go over the top of it. But there's just one major problem with that, and that one major problem is the fact that the pounds per square foot of that would essentially require my little underground storage be made entirely out of steel beams.
That sounds not cheap.
And yeah, that is very, very expensive. So my only other thought process is, well, maybe if I put like a really steep roof on it so that no one can climb on it. No. Put a metal roof, put metal roofing on there, make it really steep. But it's like, steep enough where like I can use a ladder to like lay against it and put the metal on it from a ladder. And that way I don't have to risk walking on it.
Go ahead. Sorry. I'm trying not to cut you off, but I keep doing it. I apologize.
Yeah.
Look up a guy on YouTube called Colin Furs. He actually successfully built a underground bunker and tunnels in between his bunker, his workshop, and under his house with no damage.
Huh.
And he did this in England, which to me is quite amazing because England's quite... How can I politely word this? They're quite a stickler for their red tape.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how he managed to pull this off, but he did it all, and apparently he didn't do anything out of code when he did it somehow.
That's very surprising considering how close to the water table almost everything in England actually is.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. That's actually quite a crazy concept, isn't it? But where he's at, I guess, the water table's not too high. I don't know where the heck he's at because he's intelligent and doesn't broadcast that.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I was when I was stationed in England, where our shop was located, there was an underground river that ran through the area. And on days when the water table was really high, there was a little section of our shop known as the moat, and water would leak into there. And there would be nights when we'd go home at the end of the day and everything's all bone dry, and then we come back Monday night, or we come back Monday, and the whole place smells like a swamp because the water table rose up, and water seeped into that moat area. And then it just didn't drain away.
Right.
But then there were also some very specific places on the storm drains outside where you could stand there, and if you listened quietly, you could hear the water flowing.
Yeah, I think in those particular areas we were at, there definitely was a very high water table. No doubt. And then when I got back stateside, the first base I was at had the same kind of issue. Except they didn't have drainage sorted out, so it wasn't even the fact that it was built lower. The first floor of the building was full of black mold because they never had quite got the draining right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we sent a couple people out to go and clear the drain to see if that helped, and clear the drain. Nobody ever got it right. And then some random older, crusty... I mean, he wasn't the nicest person to deal with, which is why I describe him as crusty. He was a good guy, but he was rough around the edges, so...
Yeah.
Was pretty upset that the water was still getting in his office because they put him on the first floor. And he went out there and he unclogged the drain after 3 people had been out there and hadn't figured out how to unclog the darn drain.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did that was different than 3 other people, but I feel your pain with moldy, wet buildings. I mean, you know, it was better than the asbestos one I was in.
Yeah.
The biggest issue with that was the asbestos was insulating the building, and at some point the roof caved in.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
That's always great when it's just like, okay,
It's okay, the building's safe. The asbestos is only in the roof. The roof caves in.
Yeah. And in the meantime, there's other factories, like, in my local area, there's a factory that they did, they make like fiberglass and stuff, like fiberglass based products and things like that. So like for example, the shingles that I bought to replace the ones on my shop were made at that factory.
Okay.
But it's just like I don't know what happened, but like they almost went bankrupt due to a massive asbestos lawsuit.
They probably used to make asbestos products. That's all it takes.
Very possibly.
Lots of old buildings were actually built with asbestos, and I mean, if you had a way to safely process and handle the stuff, if somebody had actually invented a way to do that, it would actually be really great material. But there's the problem, is we've never figured out a way to completely safely mine it and manufacture it. And I mean, the stuff is one of the most flame retardant substances you can get besides, you know, actual ceramics.
Yeah.
But it's just the particles of it are so fine they get in your lungs and bed, and you get, you know, lovely things like they tell you all the late night commercials when you have insomnia, you know, mesothelioma.
Yep. Yep.
You know, but I mean, it's a great compound, but it's just so darn hazardous that's the issue with it. Is it's hazardous enough that you're actually told to leave it alone and not clean it.
Yeah.
Because I know of a facility that has a whole bunch of asbestos in it, but because of where it's at, it's not a hazard. But if you were to try to clean it up and get rid of it, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Then it would be a serious hazard because you'd have to disturb it. And it's just... What's the phrase?
If you don't
Damned
disturb
if you do, damned
it,
if you don't?
yeah, if you don't disturb it and you leave it alone, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like
But if the roof caves in or something, then yeah, you got a problem.
Like the childhood church I went to, it was kind of like right when the asbestos stuff started to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was kind of freaked out about it for a little bit. But oh, the building has asbestos in it, and my dad's sitting there going, "The asbestos is in the floor tiles. You want to know the easiest way to contain asbestos floor tiles? You put another floor over the top of it and forget it's there." How you deal with an asbestos floor tile.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better if every building had something, you know, when you bought it to make sure you knew, or you just went and took care of it, because it's just such a hazard to deal with. It's, I mean, it's worse than lead paint.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna laugh at me, but I've actually eaten lead paint.
Yeah, well, I mean, lead paint, like the thing is with lead, you know, yes, obviously it is dangerous, it's poisonous, but the
Yes,
dosage...
it's not good to eat it.
The dosage limit is actually, compared to many other hazardous chemicals of the modern era, the dosage needed for lead to be deadly is actually quite high.
Yes.
or
but
body
the
mass.
22 is the amount it takes to be deadly is a lot more than the amount it takes to cause developmental and brain damage and all kinds of things like that.
Well,
I only
yeah.
ate like 3 or 4 chips, and then my dad caught me doing it, and and then he's like, "Cut that out, boy."
Yeah. He did the
know?
right. He did the dad move.
Yeah, he actually knocked it out of my hands. Like, "Don't eat that," something like that. He said,
Yep.
"Why not? It tastes good." I'm like, "Well, that's why kids ate lead paint so much." I never thought about it. Lead
Yeah.
tastes sweet. It
Yeah.
really does. Lead tastes great, and that's scary.
That's the
why
problem.
yeah. Like, not many horrible things taste awesome. And that's kind of the catch-22 with lead paint and kids, right? It's hard to get a kid not to eat something that tastes delicious.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was a little hard-headed and only did that once or twice. But, you can blame that for me being insane if you want, I don't know. I didn't eat that much, so I would say I'm not a hatter.
My
Not as a hatter.
my sister-in-law's husband came to lunch today wearing a shirt that he said, I might be insane, I'm strange, might be a little bit crazy, but trust me when I say there's never a dull moment in my life.
Oh, also, pewter. A warning to anybody that might also be worried about lead. Really old pewter has got a lot of lead in it.
I believe pewter is a lead alloy, isn't it? I was talking to my dad about that, and he was fairly certain that pewter is actually like a tin. It's like tin and lead, something like that.
Yes, prior to the last 50 years, I think, pewter was always an amalgam of lead and something. Now, if you buy pewter off Amazon now, it's a mix of tin and 2 or 3 other what me or you would think of as or what I would think of as pot metals, like the trash you skim off when you melt aluminum, but it doesn't contain lead anymore. But if you buy any antique pewter items, it 100% will have lead in it.
Yes.
And I drank out of a pewter goblet once, and I can tell you that there's probably a good reason so many inspiring stories came out of the medieval era.
Expressions like
saved
by the bell.
Yeah. I'm looking up modern pewter now. I'm trying to. I don't remember the other compounds in it. I used to know, but I'm not young anymore.
How is that considered acceptable?
Because I forget more things. Okay, modern pewter is 91% tin, 7.5% antimony, 1.5% copper.
Okay, so it's lead, or it's tin, copper, and then antimony? What's antimony?
Yeah. It's an element, but I don't know a lot else about it. Give me a second. I'm Googling it. I've actually never heard of it being used for much else.
Well, there are a lot of... there's a lot of mineral compounds. I didn't know that,
Used to be used for cosmetics.
The thing I never knew was that, what is it, steel ore? I didn't know that steel ore is technically smelted as a mixture called taunite.
I think that depends on which steel alloy you're making, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Actually, no. What taunite is it's a mixture of steel ore and flint. And the flint is used as a heat catalyst to carry the heat through the whole load of ore, rather than just having it wind up in hot pockets, basically.
Ah, so it uses a flux.
Yeah, it's just used as a yeah, it's used as a flux.
Okay.
Right, well now we've got loads. And now that I figured out what the bottleneck was on the fuel, which was the fact that we didn't have enough petroleum, I forgot that this whole base was just being fueled off of one normal oil node. Now added a pure node to it, so...
I'm
I
telling
added a
it to
pure
unload
node.
again. The
I've got
second
a-
car is not wanting to unload, but everything else is going just fine.
Okay.
I
And
think I've got that fixed.
I've got a pure crude node attached
Mhm.
to this plastic outpost now, so now we're generating a very consistent amount of fuel, thanks to all the refineries now having full oil pressure.
Alright. Unload. Unload. I don't need you to fly down the track that quickly. Please stop. Unload. Ah. Dagnabbit. Plastic. And... wire. Cooking oil. Cooker.
Oh, hey! All the fuel generators are now up and going.
Nice. I'm
So-
sucking 120 kilowatts at the train, but it's really not that much if we got all the fuel generators rolling, so.
120 meg is nothing. Especially considering, like, the, how much a manufacturer pulls. Like, a couple manufacturers is gonna pull way more than that train.
Yep.
So... see, they both... yeah, they all produce 150 meg.
Quick wire.
I'm gonna put down
Okay.
one more fuel generator. One more.
Let's see, I'm gonna call this, nasty tasting fish. There we go.
Nasty tasting fish, is that the plastic outpost?
That's the name of the train.
Oh, okay. That works.
Oh, I got a better name. Extra chewy fish. There we go. Okay.
I don't quite get how the caterium is tied to fish.
I guess you use it to catch the fish. Not really a great point, but I really have no idea how well a caterium makes fishing wire or fishing hooks, so.
Yeah, I don't... I'm afraid you've lost me a bit on that.
Been playing a lot of Green Heck this week. That's been my calming thing.
I've seen you posting about it.
Yeah, I've got a game I played at one step below the hardest difficulty. I just turned off permadeath. I left everything else at the hardest difficulty. Because if you don't spend like a lot of time preparing for every single possible thing that can go wrong, you just die and start over.
Yeah.
And you have to get like the exact right set of cards. You know, you have to start in an area with good food, good water, tobacco plant, the right amount of trees or enough stuff to work with, you know, and not too many rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I played one where I survived, I think, I was over 10 days on the hardest difficulty. And I actually killed a jaguar. I shot it in the back of the neck with an arrow. And then I did something stupid. I forgot what it was. I ate something bad, or I got stung by a stingray one time.
Lovely.
And I had got a pretty nice place, started to build up. Okay, you know, I can live here quite a while, you know. And I noticed there's a stingray in the river, and I've never encountered a stingray in the game before. And I'm like, oh, it can't be that toxic. I'm dead. Aw.
Yeah. I've been enjoying the new update to 7 days.
Okay.
So one of the things that they've changed about it that don't know if it's like an actual change or if this is just like coincidence of RNG on my part. But I have not run across deer in the daytime. Deer only
Really?
tend to spawn at night.
Huh.
But there's also another catch-22. If you kill a deer near zombies, the zombies will go and eat the deer.
Okay.
And I found this out when I killed a chicken because I was wanting feathers to make arrows. So I killed a chicken, and all of a sudden 2 zombies ran over to it and started devouring the corpse. So I killed the zombies, but then when I went to go harvest the chicken, I got 1 meat and 3 feathers off of it, and the corpse was gone. I was like, okay then. Apparently zombies now eat the animals.
That
If you kill them.
seems to be like a step towards more realism. That's what I like about Green Hell, is the realism is really intense on it. But they need to add a couple more elements of things you would actually do to survive to make the game a little more forgiving.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a fine line that has to be ridden between realism and fun, and realism fun. Like one of the well, I always like to point to it whenever we talk about like games that forgot how to be fun. Astroneers.
They actually fixed that finally.
Oh, they did.
Oh, not Astroneers. Astroneers actually, they added a lot to it to make that more fun. I was thinking of Stationeers. Did I tell you about the first issue?
Stationeers. Yeah, Stationeers is the game I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Astroneers is the little sandbox game on the planet.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. It's very sandboxy.
Stationeers is the one that's actually like set in space, where it's like, you know, if you're on the surface of the asteroid, you can't get your welder out in the daytime, or it blows up, and you have to,
Yeah.
you know, if you're playing multiplayer, then you have to, if your friends go to sleep and their welder's on, you have to like loot the body, turn the welder off, or otherwise it's gonna set everybody on fire and keep destroying stuff.
Yep. Well, that's still a problem. The second one is, you definitely have to tell your friends, be intelligent. Don't leave your welder on when you log off. You will kill everyone. But they did actually patch the, yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of it. The issue with the exploding fuel tanks. And the sad thing is like they actually did the math on it, and I looked into why they did what they did. It has to do with air pressure, and there's a whole giant physics lessons about what they had done there with it, and they actually did the physics right. Like realistically,
Yeah.
if you tried to use welding gas on the moon in the hot side of the day, it would explode.
Yeah.
Like, but they actually basically went in and like turned that off because it made the game so hard. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Now,
But like, they did the math right.
The one game I've wanted to look into again has been Space Engineers. The problem is, it just runs like garbage.
They've made a lot of improvements with it, but yes, it still has that issue. It runs better than it ever did, but it's simulating so much at the same time that a computer has a hard time keeping up. It's
Yeah.
not that it's not a great game and it's not enjoyable, because it is, but ever since they added planets, unless you've got 2 dual video cards, good luck getting it to run.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not trying to hate on the game. I love it. Every once in a while I go back and I'll play it. But then I'll hit that point where I have to stop playing because it too much resources. Again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really disheartening because I love it. If you play without planets, though, the game plays flawlessly now.
Yeah, without planets, it's great, but the whole...
It used to be a little laggy. Now that's flawless.
Yeah, the other problem is with, when we're dealing, what was I saying?
I don't know.
Let's say, right there at the tip of my tongue. The addition of, like, trying to find, like, ice in order to increase your hydrogen and your oxygen productions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what it was about that, but on planets, I could never find ice anywhere. It was so irritating. I couldn't find what I was needing to find.
So, they've made a few changes to that dynamic to make it more feasible to play. Primarily, if you set up things right, and there was a way to do this before, but it was even more difficult to do than it used to be. You could collect the gases from the planet and then gather what you needed out of that. Because some of the gases you need, there's some planets that actually have a quantity of hydrogen in it, and there's one planet, I think, which is dry, but it has moisture in the atmosphere. So you could actually collect the moisture from the atmosphere to make your air. But that doesn't mean it's easy, because it's not even remotely easy, because you basically have to make an airlock to suck in the air and then filter out all the different gases and make your own water out of the air. You have to build like a wind trap, basically.
Ugh.
I never said it was easy.
See, this is that point where I start going, yeah, I'm not all that interested anymore. Just because the... again, like I've said, there's a fine line between the fun realism versus the not fun realism. And
I
once you...
enjoy a challenge. but the problem I've got is I don't know a lot of people that are willing to suffer the same amount I am.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, it can be good though, because if you get 2 or 3 people together, it's not as bad. Stationeers, if you could get 4 or 5 people together playing it that knew how to play, it could turn out quite amazing quickly versus being a catastrophic nightmare. But you'd have to have a team of individuals that already kind of knew how to do everything that needed to be done, because otherwise it's just going to be kind of a catastrophic nightmare. There's just not a lot of ways around it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have one person mine or something, and that would help, you know. But
My dream for like a big like, how to put it, like a big like thing would be like a world on 7 days where you had 16 people playing, and like you get into the late game tech, and then it's like you get into the late game tech, then you take on like one of those big tier 5 like zombie clear outs, the ones where you're clearing out like the really big factories or something. Like
Right.
I've done those on solo, and it takes me like 3 in-game days to clear out the building alone. But you have like people going in squads, and you have like, you know, like a convoy of jeeps pull up, and you've got a couple of people that just keep an eye on the jeeps to make sure wandering zombies don't kill everything.
right.
And then you've got like a team of like 4 to 6 people who, those are like the clear out guys. They're the ones going in, just absolutely blowing everything to shreds. Their whole thing is drawing the zombies out.
Right.
And then behind them, you then have the looters who are going through and like, they just loot every single searchable item. And then behind them, if you have like, you know, uber noobs or whatever, those are the guys who you give like the wrenches and the scrapping tools, and you just strip the facility bare basically as you go through.
You let them do the wrenching.
Yeah, you let them do the wrenching, and then you have like 1 or 2 gyrocopter, the gyrocopter pilots, so that you can like land at different points on the building, so that the looters can unload onto the choppers, and then the chopper guys can then carry the loot down to the jeeps. You can unload everything into there.
To do once.
Yeah,
at least, you know.
it would be like just a. You know, I don't think it would. Obviously, trying to coordinate 16 people is just a headache waiting to happen.
Well, you'd have to do squads and have to have a squad leader. Just like in the real world, you got to have somebody in charge of each individual portion of things to make things work good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I would think it'd be like one of those things where we'd have to have like multiple Discord rooms, and then, you know, the squad leader can use like push to talk in game to call for the gyrocopter guys and stuff.
Yeah, you'd have to have. I don't know. You'd almost have to have 2 different channels that they could use at the same time. Like, you'd have to have it so a squad leader can hit a button and speak on the command channel, and then the rest of the time they're talking with their squad. Like, that had to be some like custom TeamSpeak scripting, maybe. I'm not even sure you could get away with doing it in Discord.
Well, the thing I would think is like, you know, everyone can be in their own like Discord channels, and they can be talking to each other on their squad in Discord, but then in game, the squad leaders just use like push to talk in game voice, try and see if they can call for that. The only question on that is, I don't know if 7 days does proximity voice.
That's a good question.
But I mean, either way, like, even if they just have to hop out of the voice channel for a second to be like, "Hey, gyrocopters, we need you up on floor 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll put some blocks down for you." Something like that, you know.
That could work.
Clear out guys going first, and basically they don't stop for anything. The looters would be the ones that would need to talk to the gyrocopters. And then you just have a couple of guys babysitting the Jeeps to make sure they don't get blown up. Which, that's still a thing, by the way. If a zombie destroys a car, it still explodes.
Yeah, that seems like a step away from realism there to some extent. But I mean, it's a zombie survival game. So unless your ultimate form of zombie surrealism is, like zombie realism, not surrealism. I have no idea why I'm talking art today. Is, you know, based on what the people they have actually found with that kind of symptom, then that's probably your best bet. I don't know if you heard about that.
Zombie symptom?
Yeah, it's not widespread by any means. Don't let anybody tell you that. But there's a particular kind of drug abuse that causes people to eat other people.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
I think it's some weird bath salt or something people were abusing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a zombie outbreak because it's not contagious. It's limited purely to those that are doing some really stupid things. So,
Yeah.
alright, well, I think I've got our production rolling over here for Super... Oh, I missed that. Dang it. I'm close. Not yet, but I'm close. Still routing a couple things, apparently. I need to route Clickwire there. The jetpack is amazing. Thank you, lady. I think it was lady that made me the jetpack.
Very likely. I think I remember making you the hazmat suit, though.
I don't know. Thank you to you both, either way, because life is a lot easier when you have the right equipment.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what to do with myself. It's too quiet here.
Put down one of those radios and
Listen
turn
to
on the
goat
Screaming
music.
Banshee or whatever it was called.
Yeah. It's a strange sensation not to worry about a kid coming in and screaming every 15 seconds.
Isn't it? But it's a nice one, too, huh?
Yeah, it really is. I miss my kids, but I don't miss the screaming. The screeching. I miss their presence, not their noise. Does that make any sense?
I get it.
Okay.
Seriously
Alright,
trying
and-
to figure out why the fuel hates this one generator so much.
In theory, we now have a working process. Let's see. Not enough circuit boards. Okay. Because I don't have enough copper sheeting. Okay. I have enough copper sheeting. Did I route the wrong thing in here? Okay. That's weird. That should have worked. That's Caterium wire. Come on. There we go. I'm surprised I haven't caused a power trip yet.
Oh,
You must have added a lot.
yeah. If you go look at those things, I did put quite a few there are quite a few fuel generators out that way now.
Wow.
So yeah, we had almost a say out there. It almost had like a gigawatt of overhead or of
Mhm.
room. So
Well, we're at 1,000, and we can support up to 1,200. It looks like. But it
okay,
said max was 18.
that's because I
So
put a battery down.
okay. Well, you want the good news or the bad news?
Just hit me with it. All the news.
Um. Well, we've got 2 supercomputers. That's basically all in one. So it is making them.
It's doing it in your traditional way of being extremely slow.
Yeah. I'm routing it to the train now.
Well, I think I finally have the fuel situation stabilized where the fuel flow now goes nicely down to the ends of all of the different fuel generators.
Nice.
Don't have 2 that can barely get fuel ever. Guess now I need to guess I might head out there and see what I can do about helping you boost production.
I think copper plates is the biggest shortage we have at the moment. Or copper sheets. There we go.
Beats? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm routing the supercomputers to the train that drops off the dishes right now. That'll
Right.
take me a couple minutes. I'm out of parts.
I'm headed out to Dish and Chips now.
Okay. I'm heading back to the main base to get some steel beams.
There are some steel beams in a chest out there. I need to go all the way back to the main.
Okay.
Last week I had Lady bring me like an entire inventory full, and we put down she put down a chest and loaded everything in the chest.
All right. That's awesome. Thank y'all.
One of the 3 personal storage chests out.
I'll be back in one moment. I guess y'all got tired of walking back and forth, huh?
Huh?
I guess y'all got tired of walking back and forth for steel, huh?
A little bit.
I didn't want to set up all the steel production over here because we only needed to make things for the site. We don't need it for the.
Yeah, we don't need it for the actual production.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too concerned about trying to make it there.
Me neither.
In addition to that, we don't really have any easy access to coal as far as I've found. So.
I think it all got used, but it'll take me a couple moments to run back and grab some more. I checked 6 boxes.
I'm here. Here, I can show you which one it is.
Oh, alright. Then I'll go the other direction. Come on.
Wait, never mind. I think it all has been used.
Oh, okay. I was trying to reverse and the game didn't want to let me, so that was going to be interesting.
Yeah, I guess it's all mostly been used up because I guess that I had a ton of them in. It's now basically empty.
I mean, you built an
Loads
entire
of-
power plant, so
Loads of encased industrial beams. But,
those are good to have. I need a few of those.
on the
I'll
regular
snag,
steel.
I'll snag those when I get back, but I just didn't have the steel beams. So.
How are things
That's
going
cool,
on
and I
your
meant to
end?
start using the filter lady. That's awesome.
Well, we have can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Well, we're having some issues with copper sheets apparent reduction apparently, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Apparently, we have copper sheets going upstairs in 2 locations. I'm trying to figure out why. I think it might be going to 2 different levels, maybe, but I don't know. Tracing the lines right now.
Okay.
Because we're not getting enough at certain machines, and it's causing problems. I've already added some more machines, so we have like at least 6 machines making just copper sheets right now.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out why we're keep getting hiccup. Okay, what are these machines making?
Okay.
Okay, the sheets are also going to make rotors. That's my part of it. Okay, so that's good to know.
Guess
Okay,
I broke
so
that.
one of these lines up is going up to make rotors. That's what part of it is. Okay, and the other one is going all the way upstairs for all the machines upstairs. Whatever machines upstairs are using them plus storage. Okay. Well, that's something at least. Okay. Okay, hold on. The new machines are just not actually sending it anywhere? Why is that?
Well, our problem with the
Interesting.
copper sheets
Glitch?
out at the outpost is we don't have enough ore coming.
Hold on a second. I think I found the problem.
Okay. Connect. Am I lagged out or something?
Okay, so there was one place where apparently it was a splitter when it was supposed to be a merger, and I had basically on either side of one of those, it was both going into it and nowhere else instead of continuing to go down the line.
Ah.
So it caused a stop there. So my new machines weren't doing anything. Okay, well now it is. I have 1,
Oh,
2, 3, 4,
looks
5,
like you crashed.
6,
I'm
7,
relogging.
8.
Okay.
I tried to chain a wire like 4 times and it just ignored me. I thought something was wrong with the that
Okay, with that we
hypertube.
have now have 10 machines making copper sheets.
Nice.
Wait, you're still not going. Why are you still not? Where'd you built?
Yeah, it was kind of strange. Everything was fine, then all of a sudden,
Somewhere. Where are you just sitting? Oh, okay. You know it is going. I'm just not seeing it. Okay. Never mind. It's just not showing. It is going. Okay. Perfect. Some of them aren't rendering on the belt right now.
I don't think it's anything on your all's end. I think something went wrong on my client. I tried jumping in a hypertube and it wouldn't work, so I rebuilt the hypertube thinking there was a glitch.
Hmm.
I'm not even in the same location. Oh, I'm in the wrong world. Duh.
Wait. No, you were in the right world. Says you left the game.
Okay. It looked like I was in a whole different world. That's strange. Yeah, so I had some bratwurst for lunch. That was my so far my awesome adventure.
Cool.
Yeah, we found some cheap ones. They're not like the big giant ones like you get that are like the best ones ever, but they're pretty good. Although I would not recommend Old Queen brats. I think that's the brand name of them. I don't know what it is with them, but they don't settle well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm somewhere. Okay, that explains a lot. That's why it wasn't letting me use the hypertube. The game thought I was, I'd say, 150 meters over from where it put me.
Looking for you. Uh-oh. Truck that's run out of fuel.
You can probably just scrap it at this point.
It's out at the plastics outpost.
Yeah, we built a train.
Oh, it's true. You do have a train out there. Okay.
Yeah, it's. I just hadn't got out to scrapping it yet. I was trying to get the supercomputers up for y'all. Oh, I am in the captain of Lagsville today.
I am looking for you on the map, and I cannot find you. Oh, there you are. Okay, you're near
Yeah, I
the main
was on a
base.
hypertube, and now I'm in the water.
Lovely.
So I'll try that one more time. Nope, it's something with that spot, the hypertube. Okay. I guess I'll remake that section of hypertube and go from there. I don't know why all of a sudden the one that goes to the storage facility is goofed up. Wow, I'm getting some serious lag too. Alright. This game isn't running under one as far as I'm aware. Kinds of trash.
What?
I've got all kinds of trash running in my background.
Ah. Flashbacks of Skyrim. First impressions.
Amazement.
No, actually, you were talking some pretty hot garbage on it because of how badly it was run. I said, are you running anything else in the background? And you checked, and you had like 9 code IDEs open, as well as 3 different instances of Minecraft.
That doesn't surprise me. Alright, well, I'm gonna reboot because I've done software development, I've done AI experimentation with language learning models, image rendering, all kinds of stuff to figure out how to do NPC characters, so I think my computer just needs to told to stop and then have a fresh start. Because I see all kinds of things in there that aren't supposed to be in there.
Ooh, lovely.
I'll be back in a moment.
Alright, see ya.
Yep.
In the meantime, I'm trying to figure out where the heck I need to route this conveyor belt to.
Do you need help over there, or what?
I'm having to route conveyor belts from a long ways out.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely certain as to where the base I'm aiming for is right now. Okay, never mind. I have correct that. I do know where it is. Now being attacked. Hey, there's several coal nodes. Not know.
How many supercomputers y'all have made thus far?
Last I knew, the number was 2.
Why is it taking so long?
Because he has exactly one of every single constructor and manufacturer resource being fed into it.
So I have a confession to make.
Uh-huh.
I set up some machines helping to make supercomputers.
Okay, sounds good.
I know we were doing it most up there, but honestly, we're never gonna get to it at this rate.
We will. It just is going to take, far more patience than you've ever had.
Well, okay, but here's the thing: how many episodes do we want to be stuck at the same level?
Well, that's the thing. If after we had it going, I was going to just let it run during the week.
Well, I wanted to at least get to uranium. I was hoping this episode.
I was hoping so, too.
Yeah, so it's taking too long. Now, don't get me wrong. In the long run, we're gonna need more because
Yeah.
they're gonna be. It's a part for one of the advanced parts.
Yeah, definitely.
But I figured for this node, it help some. So I'm up to 13.
Okay.
I didn't do it at first, but toward the end, I was like, I kind of feel like maybe I should just make one because in the long run, we're gonna need probably more than one machine making them. We're gonna be needing them for advanced parts. I was like, I'm just gonna make a setup we can use them or not.
All right.
So it's a setup at the very end of the top platform, top level over here, with 2 extra machines making the other parts. So it's a constructor and 2 manufacturers all lined up. Well, one assembler and one manufacturer next to each other, leading to another one.
Yeah.
So it's quite the setup up here, but it's like a 3 machine setup over here. And then the rest is just coming off the belts. I'm helping to hand feed some of it. It is all belted in automatic, don't be wrong. But the slower stuff, I'm kind of helping feed it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's not doing too badly, actually, for just having that much. Computers are automatic, though I did boost it by hand. Plastic is great. The high-speed connectors I have been made just a little bit slow because they're being made right now with only one machine, but it's coming. And limiters are good. over here. So, yeah.
Alright, well, I'm about to boost copper production over secondary
I
output.
think the only hiccups with this process is computers and high-speed connectors. But I'm just kind of letting that run. As I said, I was kind of hand-feeding some of the computers in. It's still pulling off the main belt, but you know how slow that is right now.
Yeah.
And I had some extra, so I hadn't fed the extra.
I worry that he's not.
Hello.
Oh, hey. As I said it.
What?
So I was
I heard-
worrying, I was getting a little worried that you weren't back yet.
Uh,
I
I'm
have
just
had
waiting.
those times when I was getting ready to stream, and I go to reboot my computer, and all of a sudden the kernel fails to load.
I don't update my kernel on the average day. Because of that. I only do that on like a Friday night on a weekend, so if I have to rebuild my whole operating system, I can have it back up in case I need it for work on Monday.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about my system, with it being all SSDs now, with the data being stored on one drive and the operating system booting from a different drive entirely, I can go from a non-working system, fully reformat it, and then have it fully up to date and going again in under 20 minutes.
Compartmentalizing your data or separating it out is great. I have standard drives and I have SSD drives. My OS and then whatever game that barely wants to run goes on my SSD because it'll run just fine if it won't run otherwise.
Yeah.
I actually am playing Satisfactory off my my regular drive, not my SSD drive, but it loads everything with the Vulkan thing, so Vulkan shaders or whatever.
Oh, it does. You have yours set to Vulkan.
Well, it automatically does it. It's not a matter of I
Oh,
told
okay.
it to. It just does it.
I should probably switch this thing over to Vulkan. I'm running it through Proton. Should probably switch it over to the Vulkan thing, because it's currently set to use DirectX 12.
I think mine's just using the Steam default, and it does it. Let me check, because I don't think I'm running under Proton on this one. I
Well,
run
you
a lot
can-
under Proton, but
You can
me
set
check.
Proton to be a default thing, and then you just don't think about it anymore.
yeah, I know what you mean. I've done it.
That's what we've done.
Oh, yep, sure enough. I'm running Proton Experimental, though. I don't know if you're running Experimental or a different one.
I don't think I'm doing experimental. I think I'm doing 7.
Okay. It's always ran pretty decent, but lately I've been running everything in Experimental unless it crashes.
Yeah.
Everything's
I've
running
just-
great now.
Well, I've just... Even running everything just on Proton 7, like whatever the latest version of Proton 7 is, everything's just running, like, so smoothly. I don't...
Proton's amazing.
It was always good, and with Proton 6, I didn't think it could have gotten any better, and then all of a sudden Proton 7's come along, and I don't even check compatibility anymore. It's not even a thing that I'm about, man.
I like a lot of older games. I actually had one game I bought on Steam that wouldn't run with Proton. But it wasn't so much Proton's fault as just horrible game design.
Yeah.
There, my hypertube's work again. It was worth rebooting.
Alright, so I've added another copper node to our mainline feed to the refineries. It's smelters. So now that should start... boosting copper production at decent amount.
All right. Because I built them when my computer's messing up, it seems that these this hypertube to the storage is all goofed up. So if somebody else would like to try, that might be best.
Right?
But yeah. I'll just take the other route there. It's not that hard to get to. I did like the convenience of it, but
So you weren't around when it happened, but Lady has started supercomputer production at the main base.
oh,
Because, well, she realized that we don't just need it to complete this tier of research, but also it's going to be needed for a bunch of the stuff to unlock to complete Phase 4, Space
Okay.
Elevator. Specifically, the thing that we need 4,000 of them. And they require, each one requires a supercomputer. So,
all right.
I can't exactly fault the plans.
I'm not gonna make an issue. You know. I guess you've got to boost them if you need it. That's the way I look at it.
Right, how many supercomputers has this base made? Gonna guess not very many. Trying to get up this conveyor belt here.
Yeah, I had to go back and get materials. Yeah, I'm not gonna get upset at y'all making things better. It's just something I did the one time because they didn't have it. But I don't know. No big deal.
Alright, so I have made 7 supercomputers out here at this remote base.
Somehow I don't think that equals 4,000.
Well, she just added her supercomputers to the milestone. In the time it took us to make 7, she's made 17. But she is being powered by the entirety of the main facility, so...
We're gonna need all the
There's,
ones we can get though, so
Yeah.
Okay.
we're gonna need them all.
Well, once we get nuclear power, I can probably throw nuclear power up at the side base fairly easy. And
Yeah, we're trying to
then-
get to nuclear power so we can do that.
Yep.
The idea was hopefully to get to nuclear power this episode so we could work on it next time.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna work on the geyser tech because there's 2 or 3 geysers next to that second base as well, and then that'll allow me to massively multiply the amount of supercomputers because we're gonna need lots of them. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure almost every single aspect of nuclear power requires at least one supercomputer.
Hey!
It's not even showing you shocked. That's weird. Oh, now it does. That's weird.
He's whacking me with his sword.
I was actually kind of trying to see if I was out of sync, to be honest. And I was. Not as bad, but yeah.
Well, I've ordered me a new SSD as a reward for me getting my shop roof taken care of.
Nice.
Because that thing has
I've-
been
Mhm.
a nightmare. I wanted a
I've
goodie
just got
for.
too much data to cost effectively store it on SSDs. That's my problem.
How much are you talking about? Like, are you talking like 12, 30 terabytes or something?
I've got a 16 terabyte, and probably before the next year is out, I'll. Sorry. Probably before the next year is out, I'll probably have to buy another drive because a lot of these language learning models and AI image rendering models are huge.
Yeah.
I've probably consumed already easily close to 600-700 gigabytes, and this technology is still developing.
Okay, well,
So in the
someone
next,
did something that has completely scuffed the storage hub transport tube.
I tried to fix it, but apparently it wasn't broken. My game was broken, and when I tried to fix it, I made it worse. So
Yeah, I noticed that. I fell up too. Ah. Okay then.
it might just
I'm
be
working.
that it
I
needs
was
rebuilt. I'm
working on
sorry.
it.
Well, I wasn't going in it. I was coming over here to check on it and removed it.
That's because I was fixing.
I'm sorry. I promise I wasn't trying to break it. It's just I don't know. My game got all weird. I think I had 4 or 5 instances of Teasar running in the background on top of 3 or 4 language learning model instances that crashed.
Okay, if
And
you
then I
close
had
that, I'll
one
also connect it.
AI render. I think next week I'll be rebooting before I jump on.
That might be smart.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Here we
I
go.
like our hypertubes. I have no desire to break them. Would I make an infinite loop for fun? Yes. But I don't want it not to work. Alright, well let's see how many supercomputers we got at the secondary base now. I didn't get to finish routing it before.
It's still broken.
That was my problem. I tried to fix it 3 or 4 times and it just broke again.
Is it broken or just lag?
Well, I went through it, and then it just... I hit one of the platforms, and then it just spat me straight out.
Oh, I know, because I went through it myself. But again, I'm just asking because it's been here for a while. We've been using it for a while. I'm not sure
I
why
think
was
I broke
suddenly
it. I'm
not work
sorry.
out of nowhere.
Well, again, Multi was having problems, so he decided to try to fix it, and maybe he broke it some more? I don't...
I did. Clearly. My apologies. I thought it was the tube, not
Well,
my
it seemed to
client.
work this time.
Okay, well, going down, it appears to be fine.
Well, I think we just passed each other.
Going up?
Love, true love, is smashing into each other in a hypertube, head first.
Not recommended for dental work.
It reminds me of that Weird Al song. Party in the CIA. They got a better dental plan than the FBI.
Okay, I think the hypertube is now fixed.
Sorry about that, y'all.
The number of times that we've broken stuff. Can't get mad. Alright, we're now up to 24 supercomputers.
Okay. I've got... Oop, I made that faster by accident. I've got several of them... Oh, lag. No, don't let me fall to my death because of lag.
Back there.
Need screws. I think I'm gonna
We're up to 33.
a truck delivery real quick. Nice. 33.
Oh. I don't realize I didn't thought about that.
Computer extraction still isn't perfect over here, but I might have stolen some from another machine to boost it.
What, the screw production?
No,
Oh,
computers.
computers? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Probably shouldn't mention songs that probably are copyright. I apologize. Just realized that.
Well, nothing's been tagged yet, or at least nothing in...
I don't think anybody would want to say anything I was seeing resembles the original, because I really can't sing.
Another thing I've also noticed is, you know, if you have some rendition of a copyrighted song, but it is explicitly very horribly done, it's like the original copyright holders want nothing to do with it.
That's
There's,
anything I sing. I think we're safe.
like a cover of the theme song from the Titanic, but it's played on like a, I think it's supposed to be like a pan flute or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the person cannot stay on key, and it is constantly screeching, and like they're not hitting the notes right, or they're not controlling things correctly, and so you just keep having these very breathy, high-pitched off-key notes just randomly throughout the whole thing. And
It wasn't that good of a song to begin with.
no, it was not a very good song to be, but it was it's been used in so many like memes and various things like that that I find it very hard to believe that the company has not noticed it being used in this way.
It's just so
However,
omitted from the song.
however, it's one of those things where they're just like, I don't want to claim that because I don't want to be associated with it.
Hey, I'm not dying. Really liking this radiation suit, lady. I see what you mean, though. It does burn through filters when you're standing in radiation.
It doesn't. It doesn't seem to burn through them that terribly fast, though, I have noticed.
I mean, considering I'm standing on uranium, I guess that's not too bad when you think about it. I'm standing on polyuranium and I'm not dying. So,
Yeah.
I can't complain. It's much better than death. Why is the plastic stuck?
Okay, mental note. Next time I'm attempting to put down a conveyor lift, don't be using just a jetpack for stability.
Alright, I think I found a problem in our production process over here, but I've almost got it fixed.
Ow.
I think the plastic was only being used from a stash. It wasn't being routed to the machine.
Oh.
My bad.
Well, I just fell from the 5th floor of the factory straight into the water. So,
It sounds like you may not have died since you hit the water.
half a
There seems to be
sliver.
some light at the end of this tunnel.
It was half a sliver. Half a sliver of health left.
Leg.
Yeah, it's that autosave. Lag! Speaking
Okay.
of lag, I literally just walked off of the edge again. A bit of an unconventional shape, but I'm now feeding screws into the manufacturer, or at least into the part of the line that feeds into the manufacturer that's doing the super. Fairly certain. So that was
Did
our
lady
major
crash?
that was our major bottleneck. No, she didn't crash. She's currently on another Discord call.
Oh, okay.
She's been made admin on one of the Minecraft servers once, and somebody just started posting straight up terrible pictures into the community Discord. And,
I don't know if I want to know how terrible.
well, she said straight up explicit, left her shocked and appalled because
That's pretty bad.
one of their players on the server, they have verified this. This player is 10 years old. And someone posted
How do
that.
they even have access to?
Somebody
Never
posted
mind.
that. Someone posted that into the general chat on the server.
Lovely.
So
Yeah, let's be that specific. But yeah, basically, we frequently have underage players,
That's
so our
normal
stuff
with
has to be
Minecraft.
pretty
But
know,
yeah, you gotta
young
filter
friendly.
that pretty bad to keep it away from. Well,
Yeah,
pretty
so
good. Yeah, wrong
we have
word.
for the most part, we have a bot that technically automatically, prevents certain things like that and automatically removes it.
Right.
This one just somehow went under the radar.
Huh.
I don't know how the bot works, and I don't know what all it normally removes. I'm not real familiar with it, but this one somehow went under the radar, and yeah, it was a little. That was this morning. I was a little shocked, needless to say.
Yeah, I imagine so.
It was pretty bad, let's just say.
So
I can believe you.
where's the supercomputer manufacturer?
Very end over here.
Okay.
It's this one.
Okay, well that's 5 more of them.
Mhm.
All right.
I was gonna leave him until there was 10, but okay.
Oh,
We're down to 10 left, so I was gonna leave him in the machine until there was 10.
well,
But okay, be the less satisfactory route.
with this,
Satisfactory route.
we now have only 5 left that we need.
I don't know if it'll be faster for me to pick them up, put them in the tube, but I've got 5 over here.
Yeah, pick them up and bring them over. Because with how slow the computer manufacturing is going, it's gonna be a hot minute.
It takes a minute, 1.8 minutes per computer.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be quite a while then before the other 5 are made over here.
Okay, I've got 2. I'm running up my supercomputer line to grab them.
But yeah, as far as the other, I'm keeping a close
Oh.
eye on the chat over there, so
I see 3.
I have it on my side monitor. I'm monitoring.
We've got one that's already made here, and we have a second one making. So,
Okay, I'm picking up the 4th one now, and then I'll jump in the hypertube. It's on the way, otherwise I'd just go straight there at this point. Alright, I'll put in the hypertube now.
alright.
That'll be the ones we need to get nuclear power. If you've got 1, I've got 4.
Alright, well, I've got 2.
Okay. I'm following
Bring
the
'em home.
style.
Bring them home.
Yeah. Alright, I'm jetting your way. Where do y'all need them at? Oh, never mind.
The storage.
Stupid question. Yeah.
Storage area.
The vault.
Alright.
I mean the hub.
Alright, I'm on my way there.
Storage hub.
I like what you've done with the lights here. Like, I really do.
Thank you.
This is all cool. This is real cool.
It really is sensates or gecko-like tail. I don't know.
Alright.
That was funnier in my head. I think my sense of humor needs rebooted too. I think playing Green Hell all week has kind of changed my sense of humor into survival mode. Honestly, I don't mind the realism in it, but they leave out a couple things that realistically you would do in a survival scenario. You wouldn't necessarily care so much if your storage rack is built out of bamboo or other wood. You just want to have a storage rack, and you wouldn't care if it was bamboo or regular wood being used to stoke a fire or build a fire. You would build a fire, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're actually fixing that in an update they're pushing soon. They made it so a lot of the things are more universal because you had to make a storage rack for leaves of one kind out of a special material, or a certain material, not a special material. All right, I'm here.
All right.
Going to the storage now.
But we don't even. Okay. Yep. Storage. Need them here in the hub.
Okay, I'll be there in a moment.
I'm watching it. I was suspicious of what lady was holding, and I realized it's probably a protein inhaler. You can hold one too, see? Did you get flung off of the map?
No, I took the storage because that's where y'all told me to go for it first. So
Okay.
I'm moving over to the hub now. Give me like 30 seconds. Run.
You do realize we do have a hypertube to the storage.
I was in the storage. You told me to go to the hub.
The hub is in the main storage? Excuse, what are you saying?
What? I thought it was over.
It was moved like a few episodes ago.
Oh.
Some time back, we put a hypertube in the storage area to the main hub.
Yeah, storage hub is exactly where it is. The hub, the main hub is. It was.
I was actually
here a
going
while
back to
ago.
where the other one where it was before. All right, so I'll be there in about 15 seconds. Now that I'm going back to where I'm supposed to be. Ah.
I mean, see, when you come out of the storage hub tube, you basically face plant into the hub.
Wow, how did I miss that?
Yeah,
I was
that's
too
my
busy
question. Is what I want to
playing
know.
screaming goat music, I guess. We kind of need to at least boom the boombox once at least for, nuclear power. Just throwing that out there.
Boom. Hi.
Hello. I come bearing gifts. Alright.
No, not that one. God. Gag, stop.
Launch me.
So who wants to press the button? I left it for y'all.
Lady, press the button.
Alright, do you want me to press the button at the same time she boomboxes me, I guess?
Wait, where are you?
Launch me.
I'm right here.
Well, I don't
Wait
see
for
you.
Gecko.
Where are you?
I'm
I'm
up.
right in front of you. Oh! Wait for somebody to
Did
push
not-
the magic
still
button.
don't see you. Never saw you. Did you put him in there? Oh, yeah.
I'm just
No,
waiting for somebody to
you
push the
launch
button.
There.
See ya.
Uranium
Haha, goodbye.
Oh!
No. Apparently there's no vertical limit on that blast.
Really? Where'd you go?
I'm up here. I'm on the pod.
This method of power generation creates
Oh, you're on the pod!
Unfortunately, I don't think the yeah. I figured out a while ago you could do that.
Lady knocked me into an air vent. Or a hypertube.
Excuse me? Who? Where? What? Did you just jump in the tube?
What? No, I wouldn't use a hypertube to get away. What?
Uh-huh. Ooh.
I
a
would. That's
blender.
exactly what I did.
Okay, let's take a
Was
look
that
at.
a new machine, or was it one from the previous? I don't remember seeing that one before.
Which machine?
Blender.
We've had that one for a minute. I'm not sure what it's for.
You mix liquids and solids to make your compound, so I'm gonna guess batteries.
Yeah, I think that's what it's for, is for like battery.
Cooling system, fused modular frame, and batteries. And encased uranium cell, apparently.
Okay,
All
we're
right.
gonna need some of them.
I'll start gathering uranium. Or
Yeah,
making
apparently it
more
does all those
supercomputers.
things.
We'll start that next week because it's
Okay.
time to be done. 6 o'clock.
Fair enough.
By the way, the machine looks kind of cool.
Oh, is this it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That is pretty cool.
I wanted to go to a MAM real
I
quick
just wanted
and
to
check
see
it out.
some more news.
Concrete, uranium ore, and sulfuric acid to make the encased uranium cells.
By the way, the new
This
power
sounds friendly.
plants look pretty cool.
We have one put down.
No, but I'm looking in the build menu.
We cleaned up a lot over here.
Oh
There's not
my
3 net
lands, this
there
thing
anymore.
is huge.
Oh my goodness, that thing is big.
It requires 5 supercomputers.
That's it? That's kind of
Yes.
forgiving.
For one plant, it requires 5 supercomputers, 100 alclad aluminum sheets, which are easy to do, and 250 concrete, which is also pretty easy.
That's not really all that bad.
Oh.
I think the biggest issue is all the support equipment you're gonna need to power that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at pictures of Chernobyl, you can actually see Commodore 64s sitting in one of the control rooms. So you don't actually need, a big giant room of supercomputers to run one. So I mean, honestly, that was just a control computer because there was a lot of other computers in there. But I'm rambling. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm tired this week. Sorry.
We all are.
We all are. Yeah. So.
I got hit by the heat. I just had a long week, I think.
Yeah. Well, we've had the heat, and I've had a long week. My boss on Friday was trying to be nice. I was working on setting a shutoff for a hot tub. Some people, and my boss was, sun was out. It was beating down on us. And my boss was like, I should get the umbrella out. Because, in Florida, that's what they would do, is they'd set up an umbrella they could work under so they could work in the shade. Well, he goes and he gets the umbrella, and he sets it up, and he sets it on sticks it in the ladder, support it, and, like, not 10 seconds after he sets that umbrella up, a gust of wind comes ripping down the canyon, right next to where the canyon we were working by, and just tried to grab that thing and blow it away. And, like, he grabbed it, and, like, it almost dragged him off. And he was like, okay, I guess I need to be a little bit more creative with this. So he gets some wire and, like, ties it to the ladder. About a minute after he's done, another gust of wind comes along and, like, almost knocks the whole contraption down on top of me.
Oh no.
And he's like, you got any sandbags on your truck by any chance? And I was just like, well, no. He's like, well, I'm trying to figure out some way of getting you shade. And I was like, well, how about we don't worry about it, because I'm done.
It took him longer to build the shade contraption than it did to...
But by the time he got the shade all put together and everything, I was done with what I was working on.
Right. Well, I'm not on a train. I'm almost through my hypertube. So, I'll be at a good stop point here in a moment.
Alright. Of course, I could just log it off and have to dump you into the void.
He
I
could,
wouldn't.
but
That'd be terrible.
it'd be karma for something I've done probably at some point. But I thought ahead, so good luck with that. I'm already out.
All right. Fair
All
enough.
right. Well, I got a few more chores I'm going to try and get done so everybody comes home happier. Well,
All right.
live long and prosper.
Oh, got me.
You've been getting
All
me
right,
for
bye,
months.
Monty.
Yep,
Have a good one.
you too.
Don't close the world yet.
All right. Well, I think that'll be a good place for us to call it.
Sounds good. We're at a good place for next week.
Yep, we're at a good place. We can start work on uranium.
So I have played this in single player, and I have gotten at least 1 star in all levels.
Nice.
4.
Okay.
I'm on level 2 right now, and I am definitely over the 1st star. I almost hit 2nd star. I'm just shy of 2 stars.
Hmm.
So I'm level 2. My high score is 1,478.
Right. You didn't happen to be playing the boombox when you went to play that game.
Me?
Okay. Just wondering.
Yes. I kind of forgot I was going, to be honest.
And I just came running over here and I heard it. So. Alright. Well, thank you everybody for coming out to watch, and I hope to see you all on Friday when maybe the bugs will go down. They've told us that about 6 times in this camp. What are you doing?
Testing out different songs.
Alright, well, thanks everybody for coming out to watch, and I hope that you have the rest of your week. The rest of a good weekend. This is gonna be, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. Have a good night, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.